Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.
with the bang. Nagala, Uncle Charlie. Nagala, a gullible bagel. From the Bundjalung Nation, from which Juggin we stand on, is called Yinangma. So Jingawala and Bogobe. What I said was, good morning, how are you today? I am Uncle Charlie. I am a gullible man from the Bundjalung Nation, from which country I stand on is called Casino. So today I welcome you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Charlie, and our talented Casino West Public School traditional Aboriginal dancers for that warm welcome to Casino West and our welcome to country. It was a wonderful way to celebrate our beautiful Bundjalung country on the north coast of New South Wales. We pay respect to our Aboriginal elders, the custodians of this unique part of Australia. Our Jarjums, our children, have such a special place on which to grow and learn, or as we like to say at Casino West Public School, to dream, believe and achieve. My name is Karen Campbell and I'm an assistant principal and classroom teacher at Casino West Public School. I'll be the moderator for our session today. Casino West Public School is a rural school of 220 students from kindergarten to year 6. We are situated on the far north coast of New South Wales in Australia with a 60% Aboriginal student population. We welcome you to our panel discussion today. We have 3 speakers, Valerie Smith, who is one of our kindergarten teachers, and Valerie will be speaking with us today about Aboriginal education. Jo Hayward, who is our learning and support teacher, and Jo will be speaking with us about wellbeing and inclusion. And Mrs. Leslie Mills, our school principal, and Leslie will be speaking with us about effective leadership. Just a couple of things before we start. If you're going to comment on social media, if you could use the hashtag WorldEduWeek, that would be great. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat. I'd like to introduce you to our first speaker now, Miss Valerie Smith. Valerie has been at Casino West Public School for 11 years and is currently one of our kindergarten teachers teaching our 5 and 6-year-olds. Valerie is a proud Bundjalung woman of the Githabul, Waible people of Lismore, and she is going to speak to us about incorporating Aboriginal culture and language into our program. Hi Valerie, I'll start by asking you, why does Casino West Public School acknowledge the Aboriginal history of Australia, and why do we believe it's important to do this?
Hi Karen, thank you for that introduction. Here at Casino West, we provide an environment where we encourage and promote the sharing of significant historical events that have made an impact on the Australian Aboriginal people. To make a difference, you first need an acknowledgement of an event and an acceptance that this event has happened. You can then begin to gain some cultural understanding and empathy towards those people. We believe it is important because we want change for our children. The first steps for change come through acknowledgement, acceptance and truth-telling. Here at Casino West, we believe by doing that we are working towards reconciliation.
Thanks, Valerie. Now could you tell us how Casino West Public School acknowledges and shares Aboriginal history in order to build cultural empathy and make steps towards reconciliation?
Sure, Karen, we do that really well here at Casino West Public School. We regularly hold whole school and community events where we invite our local Aboriginal people, the Bundjalung people, into our school to help us share in significant Aboriginal events and celebrations. We employ local Bundjalung people to teach the Bundjalung language and culture through song, dance, art at our school. Our teachers work side by side with our Aboriginal tutors to ensure an Aboriginal perspective is throughout our whole school curriculum. And we value our Bundjalung people as the knowledge holders, and we understand their sense of ownership of our Bundjalung language. Throughout, we know that from an early age, children need to feel that sense of belonging, that sense of connection to their identity and their culture. Unfortunately, throughout history, the Aboriginal people of Australia lost that right to be immersed in their traditional Aboriginal culture. So here at Casino West, we start our Bundjalung language and cultural session as soon as our children come to us at preschool. And now this program is for all children, not just our Aboriginal children. So we begin our program in the early years, and that follows our children through their primary schooling with us. We believe by doing this, we are building children that are strong in their sense of identity and their belonging and connection to country. At Casino West Public School, we know that when children feel valued and included, they are more likely to engage in academic activities and see themselves as learners, Karen.
That's so true, Valerie. Thank you for that. That leads into my next question. What is Casino West Public School future vision in this area? Where are we headed now, do you think?
At Casino West Public School, we want our Aboriginal children's academic engagement and achievements to be on par with their non-Aboriginal peers. And we envision our Bundjalung language and cultural program to be fully integrated across all key learning areas of our school. We dream of raising our Aboriginal students' academic achievement and engaging by providing an authentic connection between the Aboriginal culture and our school community. We will continue to tell truths and share the Aboriginal history and include relevant, meaningful experiences to gain a sense of their culture. We will continue to write written curriculum that includes our local Aboriginal stories as well as national truths that can be taught by Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal teachers. And we will continue to converse with our local Bundjalung people and include their culture into our school.
Finally, Val, I'm a little bit curious. Why are you so passionate about this topic, and what do you personally hope to achieve in this area in the future?
Karen, I believe education can give people a freedom and a voice. And as an Aboriginal person, I understand that our identity comes from our culture and our people. So I feel strong in guiding our young people to understand that their Aboriginality is a strength that they can use to achieve whatever personal and academic dreams that they dream of.
Thank you, Valerie. Casino West Public School is very lucky to have you, and you've shown us that Casino West Public School community certainly embraces and celebrates our Bundjalung culture in many ways. I'd like to introduce our second speaker now, Mrs. Jo Hayward. Jo has been at Casino West Public School for 14 years and is currently our learning and support teacher. Jo is very proactive, promoting inclusivity and the well-being of all members of the Casino West Public School community. Hi, Jo. To start off, can you please explain inclusion in the context of our school, Casino West Public School?
Yeah, hi Karen, how are you? Inclusion at Casino West Public School really hinges or is driven by the high expectations that we have for every student at Casino West Public School to be able to achieve to the very best that they can. So there's a few different ways that we do that here. All staff differentiate the curriculum for their students, so that's taking into consideration the individual learning needs of each student in their class. Some students have, well, all students actually, to tell you the truth, they have learning goals. So every teacher sits down with their students and they have a discussion, they talk about what learning goal they would like to have for that period of time, and then that's reflected and reviewed after, at the end of a term, and new goals are set for the next term. However, some students actually have some really complex or identified needs, and they need something a little bit more targeted. And so what we use at our school is a thing called a SMART plan. So that's an acronym for sustainable, measurable, achievable, relevant and timely. And those plans are developed with parents, with classroom teachers, with myself, sometimes a school counsellor, and they're very specific in an area that's been targeted by all of the team to be able to support that child either in their academic or their socio-emotional needs.
Thanks, Jo. It's obvious that inclusion is a big part of our school culture. Now, you've been at Casino West Public School for a while now. So what would you say would be the biggest changes addressing the wellbeing of students in recent years at Casino West Public School?
Oh, well, Karen, I'm going to come back again to what I just said a minute ago. It's about high expectations. So there's a high expectation across the school that all students are able to be safe, responsible, respectful. They're the core values for our positive behaviour for learning program that we run at the school. So students learn to be safe around themselves, safe towards other people, respectful to others, respectful to themselves, and to be responsible across the whole school community. And leading into that, I guess one of the changes that we really made was to do with our wellbeing room. In the past, it was called the room. And if you were sent to the room, you did some lines. It was quite a punitive, reactive kind of approach to helping students regulate their behaviour. And it's no coincidence that it really didn't work. And so we had a lot of students reoffending and back in the classroom, back in the room, writing lines. So this year we decided that we needed to change that. We needed to be proactive with our students. And now we have more of a restorative approach. So when the student comes to into the wellbeing room, we discuss why they're there, we acknowledge why they're there, and then we discuss what can they give back to the school community to be able to make amends, I guess, for what they were doing to be there in the first place. So after we've done that, we have a bit more of a chat, and then we use an app called Smiling Minds. And with that Smiling Minds app, we do a guided meditation, and we just call it belly breathing. And the students have really, really enjoyed that. And we talk about how that belly breathing helps them to calm if they're in situations where they do need to regulate their behaviour. The upcoming video is of some students, and you'll get to see, or actually see and hear from them about how well that they think the wellbeing room is working.
Let's have a look at that.
Do when you're in the old room?
Write lines. Write lines. You had to write lines.
Do some writing down.
How many times do you think you went to the room last year?
1,000? Yeah, it was a few times.
Yeah. Was it more than this year?
Yeah.
Why do you go to the wellbeing?
Because GC's been naughty in the paper and it's just bring us in. They made to someone.
You're getting there for doing stuff that you're not supposed to do at school.
How many times have you been in the wellbeing room this year?
I think once or twice. 5 times.
What sort of things do you do in the wellbeing?
We lay down on the floor and do meditating and breathing.
Tell us about the belly breathing.
So you lay on the ground and you listen to that person. You breathe in and out and put your hands on your belly and then put them down.
How does that help you?
Makes you feel calm.
It makes you calm down.
Doesn't make you stressed.
When you do the restoration activity, what sort of things did you do?
Handball. I played with kindergartens.
How did that make you feel?
Like that with my friends.
Did it help? How did it help?
Helped me to play with people nicely. It made me calm and all that and made me not bully people be mean.
Has something changed about you this year?
I'm nice. I'm very confident here a lot.
Why is that?
Loving listening and doing my work.
How would you describe yourself as a learner this year?
Not getting in trouble.
I get into my work and not talk. Work hard and help other people.
What do you hope to achieve at school now?
To become a school captain. To be a very good person and nice.
Are you proud of yourself? Have you been in trouble as much this year?
No.
Mum and Dad, are they proud of you?
Yeah.
Have they said that too?
Yes.
They seem to be really happy with that new setup, Joe.
It's made such a difference, Karen. And what's been great is that we've been able to now use data to track whether how often students are attending the wellbeing room, and being able to compare that to different data that we had for different behaviour issues in the past. And it's been a really positive change. Some of the other things that we're really fortunate with our wellbeing here at Casino West Public School is we have a partnership with the Department of Health, or the New South Wales Department of Education does, and we have a wellbeing health incursion nurse who also is able to work with our students and work with our families, and to be able to support them, to support their child to achieve the very best that they can whilst they're at school. We also have a school counsellor team, and they're able to work with students and or myself and classroom teachers to again be able to achieve the most that we can for our students here at our school. And, you know, one of the most challenging times, and I guess this has been right across the world, is supporting students throughout the COVID time. So we've been able to, because we have such strong relationships with our students and we know our students, we have been able to make sure that they are still checking in with their remote learning. We've been able to call families and just discuss with them some of the challenges that they may have been experiencing at home throughout this time.
Thanks, Joe. So it's obvious that there's many great things happening at Casino West Public School to help students' wellbeing. What about what's being implemented to address the wellbeing of staff at Casino West Public School?
Oh, Karen, one of the things that we used a lot, particularly last year after our first lockdown, was the Smile in Mind app. And we were using that as a staff to come together in the mornings and to do a guided meditation, like the belly breathing that the kids do in the wellbeing room. And that was really successful. And I know that a lot of staff have used that throughout the most recent lockdown, just personally at home. We have extremely strong leadership at this school, and that's been able to help us to maintain our strong relationships, to be able to know that we're supported as well. And if you know you're supported, it's so much easier to support other students. And so through COVID, that was especially relevant, because we needed to be able to make sure that we were looking after ourselves so that we could continue to look after our students.
That's fantastic. Casino West Public School is such a supportive environment for everyone. But let's talk about attendance now, because prior to 2020, the school attendance rate for Casino West Public School was actually well below state average. So can you outline for us how we have managed to significantly raise the attendance rate at Casino West Public School?
Well, Karen, I think you know one of the things that I'm going to start with here.
I'm going to guess, Joe, that you're going to say high expectations.
Exactly. It really comes down to us as a staff and as a school community having really high expectations that you come to school every day. When you come to school every day, you are being a learner. And data has shown us, since we've been really having that approach, that our attendance rate has gone from well below state average to now just below the state average, which is a remarkable achievement in such a short period of time. So we check the data for attendance from weeks 1 to 5 and 6 to 10 every single term. And from there, we generate communication with our families. So it might be a letter home outlining that their child maybe isn't coming to school as much as what they should be. And for example, in that letter, we have a table that outlines what it looks like for different, if your child misses, say, for example, 1 day per week, that's 40 days a term, that's 8 weeks a year, that's 2.5 years over 13 years of schooling. And the feedback that I know, yes, I know it's amazing.
Sorry,
isn't
Joe,
it?
I was just going to say that's quite significant, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. And our families don't realise that. And that's some of the feedback I have had is having mums or dads ring up and go, oh my goodness, I did not realise that that's what it looks like, you know, 1 day a week. So that communication has really helped with our families to realise how important school is. And to do that, you also need to have some rewards. Of course, we all like to have a little bit of a carrot dangling in front of us. So at the end of every week, there's a small reward that's presented to each class for each individual child by the principal, which I think really drives home to those students that if the principal cares enough about me coming to school every day, well, I can care enough about me coming to school every day. And at the end of each term, there's a negotiated big award or reward, and that's usually something that students, parents, teachers, staff have talked about. And that might be something like, for example, last term we had a jumping castle. The end of last year, when it was our summer, we had a jumping castle that had water with it. So they're the things that kids really look forward to.
But those targeted rewards are really powerful, aren't they?
They make such a difference. But, you know, we still have times with our families where some families just need a little bit more support, and we work really hard with those families to be able to encourage them and support them to have their child come to school as much as they possibly can. And, you know, at the best case scenario, 5 days a week, but it goes back to those high expectations.
Thank you, Jo. You have highlighted how important it is to integrate inclusion and wellbeing practices across our whole school community, and we're very lucky to have you here.
Great. Thanks, Karen.
Our final speaker is Mrs. Leslie Mills, our principal at Casino West Public School. Leslie has been at Casino West Public School for 2 years after coming to us from Bundjalung Public School, which is actually also located on Bundjalung country. Leslie is a strong leader who is very focused on improving the learning outcomes for all children at Casino West Public School. Hi Leslie, let's start by you telling us how your leadership experience influenced your transition to Casino West Public School.
Oh, hi Karen, thank you for that introduction, it's much appreciated. My leadership experience has been over a period of about, well, probably my whole teaching career, but as a principal for about 17 years. And I must acknowledge the very good people I've met along the way who have mentored me, supported me, believed in me and challenged me, because I wouldn't be here today without them. I did have a principal mentor who said to me that if everything you do, every decision you make is for the benefit of the students, then you can't go wrong. And I've stuck to that, and I think it's very, very good advice. The students are the centre of everything we do. They also inspire me. The students are the ones who inspire me the most. Every day you talk to them, you get, you recognise their sense of humour, their wit, their intelligence, their inquisitiveness, and being with the students is the thing that truly inspires me. At Bundjalung, I had a wonderful experience. It was a small school, and we had a staff of about 7. I was there for a long period of time, over 30 years. And during that time, I had many different positions, but I had 14 years as principal. And during that time, we worked very much as a team. We collaborated on everything we did, on our planning, on our programs, on our all of the aspects of school. And that teamwork was very, very strong and very much appreciated. I really liked the way we worked together. We built respect and trust.
Well, it's hard to achieve anything without trust, isn't it?
Yes, building trust is really important. Not only trust with your staff, but also with the families, with the wider community, and mostly with the students. Having the students trust you so that they can take some risks in their learning, enjoy what they're doing at school, and put forward an opinion of what they think the school is doing for them. It was also a huge privilege to be working on Bundjalung country. I've worked on Bundjalung country for 35 years, over 35 years, and during that time, my work and relationships with the Aboriginal community have been an absolute asset to myself as a person. I've learnt so much. I've learnt so much about the connection to country. I've learnt so much about Aboriginal ways of being. I've learnt so much about what our country needs to do for Aboriginal people. And as Val said earlier, recognising the strength of culture is really important in the school setting, particularly if you've got
Leslie,
Aboriginal.
Sorry, actually, last year you were formally recognised for your contribution to Aboriginal education, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Thank you, Karen. The Primary Principals Association recognised my contribution to Aboriginal education. So I was very humbled by that. But recognising the strength of culture within the school gives students the power to realise that who they are is valued, particularly our Aboriginal students, but also our non-Aboriginal students, to understand Aboriginal Australia and the effect it has on our country and the wonderful, wonderful knowledge it has to offer us. Relationships are everything. So building positive relationships with a team, with your families, with the whole school community is really important for any school. And I was really fortunate when I started at Casino West. I discovered that some of my ex-Tabulum students that I had many, many years ago were now parents of students at Casino West Public School.
Oh, I bet it was nice to see some familiar faces.
It was nice to see some familiar faces, and I hope they felt the same. But it gave me connection, immediate connection, and I think trust. And it was wonderful to have that sense of being welcomed into the community again. I'm a great believer in building on strengths. Everyone has strengths. Every community has strengths, and we need to find what those strengths are and then build on those strengths. And of course, you need to celebrate any of your successes. So when you have a success in any area at the school, people need to be acknowledged for that, their work they've put into that, or the contribution they've had towards that. So I do believe in building on strengths, celebrating success across the school community. And as Joe discussed earlier, a culture of high expectations is of paramount importance.
Thanks, Leslie. Now let's talk about how, once you were actually here, how you identified the strengths and future directions for Casino West Public School.
Okay, well, in 2019, I was fortunate to have a relieving term as principal at Casino West Public School.
And that was a busy term.
It was a busy term. It was indeed. The first thing I noticed as a strength at Casino West Public School was the well-being. A sense of well-being was evident. It was evident between the staff. They really supported each other, and the way the staff supported the students and the families. And that was a real standout for me, how that operated within the school. I really enjoyed being with a bigger staff because we had a number of different perspectives. We had people to bounce ideas off. We had lots of people who were leaders in their field who we could discuss our plans with and our programs with. So that was all very inspiring. The other thing that was a strength at Casino West Public School was the staff retention. A number of staff had been here for a long time. And I know some people look at that sometimes and think it's not a positive, but to me that was a huge positive because it has consistency for our students. It has consistency for our families. And the families know the staff, but also the staff know the families quite well. So that was a huge strength. And then I applied for the position and became principal in 2020. We started to work on some new school planning and some new directions and looking at our strengths and looking at our data. And then COVID came in term 2. So that was interesting as well. That required some very clear direction. And I must say the staff at Casino West, who I knew for a short period of time, really stepped up. They did a wonderful job, and we all supported and encouraged each other and checked in on each other. And the way the staff supported the families through phone calls or written notes or just online with the online platforms that we use was really, really wonderful. And I think that period of time, which is of course continuing to today, has really helped build trust and respect across our staff because we had to work through adversity and we did it really, really well. I'm a great believer in using data, and when I looked at the data at Casino West Public School, there were clearly some areas where we needed some attention. I listened to all stakeholders and we looked at the data together, which staff hadn't been familiar with, and it was obvious that we had to start with the most important thing, and that was having the children at school regularly. So that's when we started an attendance program and worked on some targets and some strategic directions to have improved attendance at school. We used collaborative planning, so everyone was involved in the planning of the strategic directions and our targets that we set, and building the capability of staff to look at data and understand data and reflect on the data and use the data as feedback was very, very positive. Building the capability of the whole staff, the community and the students to be part of that data analysis and strategic direction planning was
that's so important because it really fosters a sense of shared ownership by everyone, and then everyone feels committed to the decisions that get made.
Well, that's right. The sense of ownership became very evident, and people started to understand why we were doing what we were doing, and also seeing some improvements in that area. So a sense of ownership, but also a sense of being valued, and collaborating around future directions was really well received across the school. We are now working on building a stronger student voice to develop greater awareness and engagement in learning for students across the school.
Thanks, Leslie. There's so many things to consider when you're the principal of a school, and that leads me to my next question for you. How do you ensure you build trust and a shared vision at Casino West Public School?
Well, I think a shared vision is really important. And as we've spoken about, trust is really important also to create that vision, to dream of your vision and achieve that vision. And in New South Wales, there is an education department mantra that says every child is known, valued and cared for. And I really believe that should be the case. So we work really hard to have every child known, valued and cared for, but not just the children, also the staff and the families. I think you really need to trust your team. I'm extremely lucky. I have an excellent team at Casino West Public School, a very strong leadership team. We have curriculum teams, we have student leaders, and all of those people contribute to the future vision of the school. We have a culture of...
It's great to make the most of everyone's strengths too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. We have stage leaders, we have curriculum leaders, and they can all work towards the strategic directions and towards achieving our targets and working on the data. So that is really good. And of course, the culture of high expectations is embedded throughout everything we do. With the data, that was new for many staff to really dig deep and analyse the data. And initially, I think people were a little bit intimidated by it, but we have seen now that using the data, we can see we're making a difference. We have evidence, particularly in attendance and student welfare, as was mentioned earlier. We are making a difference in such a short time. And currently our NAPLAN results that have come out, even after COVID, we've shown some very promising improvements in student learning. So we're very, very happy, and we will continue to look at the data to support our vision and to work towards our targets. And of course, relationships. Relationships are everything, and I'm a great believer in just a smile to a child or a staff member can make all the difference.
It certainly can, Leslie, and you sure share your smiles around our school, so we thank you for that.
Thank you, Karen.
And oh, you're welcome. And your strong leadership and your focus on identifying strengths on which we can build upon have really improved the teaching and learning at Casino West Public School. It's now time for us to take some questions from the audience in your little chat room. So our first question is going to be for our first speaker, which is Miss Val Smith. Valerie, the audience would like to know, What positive repercussions has our school noticed since incorporating the Bundjalung Language Cultural Program at our school?
Hi, Karen, and that is a great question, actually. I can think of 3 positive areas that our school has seen encouragement since sharing the Bundjalung Language and Cultural Program. Firstly, I'll speak about our children. I have noticed that our children have such a sense of pride and accomplishment in themselves since being able to share their Bundjalung language within our school grounds. It really makes them feel valued and a part of our school. And also that bit special to know that their culture, their Bundjalung language is being shared with everybody at our school. It gives them a sense of, you know, that they are strong and welcome and that they are valued in our school. We see children now stepping up to do leadership roles in our school, and that is so exciting. Secondly, I have noticed that by having the Bundjalung Language and Cultural Program integrated throughout all of our key learning areas here at Casino West, it's been a real positive relationship building for all teachers. So we are all able to engage in new learning and new sharing of this traditional Aboriginal language and culture. And it's just built such a beautiful, positive, sharing place to work and to be, and to feel that you can be, as an Aboriginal teacher, yourself here at school. It's a beautiful thing to witness. Also, I have noticed that it has made our school a lot more engaging for the Aboriginal community and for the whole community, because we understand here at Casino West that we are on Bundjalung land and that it is a beautiful part of the Australian history, and it is welcomed in our school. Our community understand that they don't need to leave their Aboriginality outside of the school when they come in. It's all welcome, and we celebrate and share every part of it. It's just been wonderful to watch, and I feel it's what we do here at Casino West with our Bundjalung Language and Cultural Program has been transformic in Aboriginal education settings, Aboriginal history within educational settings. It just makes my heart so proud, and I feel very privileged to be able to see this change in education for the Aboriginal people of Australia. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Val. That was fantastic. We'll go to Jo now, who was our second speaker. Jo, the audience would like to know, what is a SMART plan? You spoke about one earlier. People would like a little bit more of an explanation of what a SMART plan is.
Okay, great question, Karen. A SMART plan is a plan that's developed, as I said earlier when I was talking, between a team of people. And SMART stands, for sustainable. So it needs to be, the goal that we're setting needs to be something that can be sustained over time. It's not just, it's over and done with within a week. And then to be measurable, we need to be able to measure the success, or perhaps sometimes the not so much of a success of having a goal targeted. And then it needs to be achievable. So it's something that can be achieved by the child, because without the child being able to feel that they are able to work towards something and to be a success, it's not as much of a, and I use this for the carrot. And then it has to be relevant. Like back in the day when I first started in special ed, we'd often choose a goal that, I don't know, it was just something like, the child will not talk in class. Well, it's relevant, but is that relevant to the child? Does that make a difference to them as a learner? And that the T is for timely. There's a period of time placed upon the working towards that goal. So it might be, after 6 weeks, we look at the data that we've collected and an assessment or any observations, and we go, well, what's that achieved? Was it a good time period? Do we need to have a little bit longer? Should it have been too short? But we need to have a time. Goals don't just go forever. They need to be discussed, reviewed, and reflected upon.
And when done properly, they're very effective, aren't they, Jo?
Oh, best thing, Karen.
Thank you for that, Jo. And our final question goes to our school principal, Mrs. Mills. So, Leslie, people are wondering if you could share with them 3 highlights from your career as a leader.
Highlights of my career. Well, there have been many. But I would have to say unexpectedly working in Aboriginal education for most of my career has been an absolute highlight and a privilege. I did mention earlier that the amount of learning I have done from being connected with our Aboriginal communities has been an absolute privilege. And I continue to learn and continue to be amazed at the strength of the people around me. I think another highlight would be collaborating with national and international education professionals. I was fortunate to be part of the Schools Plus Teaching Fellowship program and have met many wonderful educators around Australia and across the world. And that is extremely inspiring to have a look at other education facilities, other systems, talk to other teachers and what they do to support students. That's been a wonderful highlight. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go to Canada last year to have a look at some of the Indigenous programs in education in Canada, but of course that was cancelled because of COVID. So hopefully that will happen at some stage. And the final one I would say was knowing that I was an inspiration to one of my students at Tabulum Public School to become a great teacher. I was her craft and science teacher, and in high school she decided she wanted to be a craft teacher just like me, and she worked really, really hard, and she actually became a targeted grad, and the only school she wanted to teach at was Tabulum, and she did. She came back and she taught at Tabulum. She didn't become a craft teacher, but she became an amazing kindergarten teacher and Year 1 teacher, and that is just so heartwarming, and it's something I will never forget. So they're probably my 3 highlights, Karen.
Thank you, Leslie. That was very inspiring. Thank you to our audience for those questions and our speakers for their insightful answers. There were a lot of valuable points made by our speakers today, so let's recap by looking at 5 key takeaway points from our presentation. These points fall into the following 5 areas. 1. Embedding Aboriginal education. At Casino West Public School, we understand that there is significance in truth-telling, acknowledging and accepting Australian Aboriginal history. We believe that by doing so, we are working towards reconciliation as a nation, and in turn, this will bring Aboriginal educational outcomes up to national standards. We are striving to remove negative beliefs and stereotypes of Australian Aboriginal people through whole school, authentic, locally supported Aboriginal language and cultural programs. 2. A focus on inclusion and wellbeing. A clear vision of high expectations across all aspects of wellbeing and inclusion has seen an increase in staff and student wellbeing. The inclusive nature of our school ensures that there is an expectation that children have a say in their learning and that opportunities are provided to reflect and then reset goals. Our Wellbeing Program has a focus on students being able to self-manage their behaviour in a positive environment. The expectation that students attend school every day has seen a positive increase in attendance. High expectations, relationships and strong leadership form the bedrock of Casino West Public School, and this is reflected in our motto of dream, believe and achieve. 3. Respectful relationships. Respectful relationships are the cornerstone of all that we do at Casino West Public School. When you enter Casino West Public School, the respect that all staff give to each other, our families, our students and our visitors is very evident. We strive to ensure that all our students are known, valued and cared for. Our school values are reiterated in all activities during the school day, with teachers sharing explicit lessons around these values each week, staff recognising students for demonstrating these values on a daily basis, and students reflecting a deep understanding of the application of these values in their school life. 4. A shared vision. Building a shared vision based on high expectations, setting and celebrating the achievement of our targets, and honouring our whole school community gives us all the opportunity to dream, believe and achieve. Collaborative planning, teamwork are fundamental to developing our strategic plans at Casino West Public School. supporting staff, students and community to contribute their strengths and demonstrating flexibility in decision-making based on available evidence has developed trust and cohesion across our whole school team, with everyone working towards best outcomes for Casino West Public School students and their families. And 5, the power of collaboration. Whole school cohesion is essential to ensure a shared vision, and at Casino West Public School, we highly value the strengths of our smaller stage teams and focus groups. For example, assistant principal stage leaders ensure that stage teams function in a purposeful and cohesive way by meeting regularly and including key components in their meetings, including a check-in to support teacher wellbeing, a show and share to share successful teaching pedagogy, organisation on a whole school and stage basis, relevant professional learning and discussion. Regular meetings are designed to promote interaction and support, where colleagues feel connected and trust each other to share and reflect on their teaching practice. Whole school focus areas are addressed in a way that is specific to each stage of the student and teaching body. Finally, Casino West Public School would like to say thank you to T4 World Education for our invitation to take part in World Education Week 2021. To everyone who joined with us today to listen to our speakers, to our panel and our tech team for sharing their expertise, and to our whole Casino West Public School community for their ongoing commitment and support to ensure our students have every possible opportunity to dream, believe and achieve. Thank you.
Jinjiwala, Jinjiwala, how is everyone today? Bugulbe, Jinjiwala, Jinjiwala, I'm so glad you came to play. Bugulbe, Yagun is shining, Gurgun is flying, it's a lovely day today. Bugulbe, if we keep singing, Jinjiwala, we'll be happy come what may. Bugulbe.
Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.